Thank you to our sponsors for their support. Now, back to our Utopia.
Ice fishing. Simply put, it's fishing on a body of frozen water. For most people, the sight of fishing tents scattered across the landscape or people on buckets with a fishing rod in their hand sitting over a hole is not the least bit appealing. But we have news for you. It's not about the fishing. It's about the family. It's about friends. And it's about hanging out and having fun. You might call ice fishing tailgating on ice. Utopia host Ashley Lamone recently visited Mill State Park Reservoir in Emery County in Farron, Utah, where the state's premier ice fishing tournament is held each winter. And what we found is that this subculture of incredible humans have all the gadgets and gear to make a day on the ice as comfortable as sitting in your own living room.
So how long have you been ice fishing?
We started about 2 years ago. We went for the first time with Trevor, and ever since then we've kind of fell in love with it. We love the ice fishing because it's just a way for us to bond.
If you want to go ice fishing in Utah, the first step is obtaining a fishing license. The type of license you need depends upon age, how often you want to fish, where you want to fish, and whether you're a Utah resident. If you're under 12 years of age, you don't even need a fishing license to fish in Utah. As we arrived at Millsite State Park, the sun was rising and anglers were already lugging gear. After all, the early worm catches the fish. But more on bait later. Some use a flat-bottomed plastic sled to transport equipment. If you want to take it to the next level, a snowmobile or ATV does the trick. The smart ones just make their kids do it. Like all types of fishing, picking your spot is the ultimate challenge. Some like the shallower waters near shore, and others like it deeper, depending upon what species targeted. Rainbow trout, cutthroat trout, tiger trout, and splake. One nice thing about the ice fishing experience is that you do not have to own an expensive boat to access hard-to-reach areas. It's equal opportunity angling. Once you've found a good spot, you'll need to make a hole. An auger is a screw-like device that cuts through the ice. Gasoline-powered augers take much of the physical labor out of hole cutting and allow the angler to cut more holes and fish more water. As Utopia presenter Ashley found out, the motorized versions also help you from severely straining your hands and wrists. The holes should be 6 to 8 inches in diameter. Anything bigger, and someone could accidentally fall in. Often you will see ice fishing gear include a giant ladle. This is used to maintain these beautiful conduits to the underwater world by scooping up ice that forms throughout the day. Ice fishing rods are noticeably shorter than a typical fishing rod, 24 to 36 inches, designed for close quarters, sitting in relative proximity to the auger hole and the obvious lack of casting. Most people use tents specifically made for ice fishing with no floors. They are spring-loaded, making setup a cinch and completed in less than the time it takes to say the alphabet. The technology and ease of use has skyrocketed in the past few years, and a small propane heater, LED lights, comfy chairs, and a cooler. And what's the difference from actually being home other than the chance to pull in a record trout or muskie? The state of Utah allows 2 poles per angler, so most of these competitors have a tip-up pole. Fitted with a trigger device, a flag, and a bell, this contraption doubles your chances at catching a fish and even allows you to take a walk or hit the road without missing any of the action.
This is called a jaw jacker.
Jaw jacker.
Jaw jacker. Looks like an automatic fisherman.
An automatic what?
Looks like an automatic fisherman. So you
It's like a human without being the human.
pretty much. So you set your pole, bend it over. It's got a trigger system. You set up. The line sits over like that.
Uh-huh.
The fish comes by and it bites it, sets it off, and then it sets your hook for you. Isn't that
That's cool. Wow. I want to see how this thing works. My son, he's over there in the tent and he's ice fishing for his first time
Yeah,
too.
so it's got like the trigger mechanism.
Yeah.
It's got this green loop that goes up there.
Okay.
So you just hook it up over,
Yeah.
and this part hooks up on there, so then it's set.
Oh, nice.
So you just,
So you
Put
put
the
it
line
to
over
your
there.
certain height. So
yep, so you can adjust it here. It's got adjustments here. You can adjust the pitch of it here.
so what height do you go? Because he was starting to hit the rocks and stuff, but what height do you recommend?
Off the bottom.
Yeah.
So right now I'm
Or depth.
fishing maybe 3 or 4 feet off the bottom. So
Oh, okay.
I let it drop down and hit the bottom, then I reeled it up.
And so how
3 or
deep are
4
you right
times.
here?
We're about 20 feet right here.
Oh, really?
Cold water fishing calls for small baits and light line. Ice anglers commonly scale down 4, 3, and 2-pound test. The best technique is slow, in-your-face vertical presentation to the fish. Jig a series of lift and drop motions, followed by a pause. Then, make the bait quiver and change into a dead stick presentation, giving the fish a chance to strike. Also, change up your bait's depth in the water column until you find where the fish are hanging out. And don't be afraid to completely change locations if you're getting skunked. But is this like finding a needle in a haystack? It would be, but these anglers have the equivalent of a metal detector, called a fish finder. Using sonar, the screen displays the location of the fish when sound waves emitted from the device hit the fish and bounce back to the device with information about where the fish are located. These motivated fishermen, like in every sport, use every technological advantage they can get.
So, Mr. Cole Christensen, we heard that you are the best at catching fish and better than anybody out here. And what makes you amazing?
I know what to use and how to use it.
Yeah?
Catch 'em. And I know like what to do when they come in differently.
What do you do?
Well, if they come in right on me, I'll like keep it still. But if they're like low or if there's no fish, I'll sometimes jig it and it'll bring them in.
Okay, so if somebody's just, maybe not just a beginner, but somebody that's been doing it for a long time but isn't as good as you, what would the one tip be that you would give them? The advice?
Probably move until you find fish.
So you've caught 2, but you're only allowed to catch 4, is that right?
I'm only allowed to keep.
Oh, keep 4. Oh, so you can catch or release as many as you want. So you will just keep the biggest ones, right? So you're for sure gonna keep these 2?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Estimates from the amenable folks at the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources, who manage fisheries in the state, see a rising trend in ice fishing popularity since their last survey in 2016. Approximately 12% of fishing in Utah happens on these frozen lakes, and that number is quickly rising. As always, safety first. Ice should be at least 3 to 6 inches thick to walk on, at least 7 inches thick to drive on with a car, and 10 inches thick to drive on with a truck. Avoid areas with slush or other signs of thin or soft ice. Look out for others, and others will look out for you. And never fish alone. Remember, be mindful of everyone's personal space. Try not to drill a hole too close to another fisherman. Funny enough, the same person who would never give out tips during the warm seasons is the same person who gives away secrets during the ice season. There is something about cold weather that brings out the warmth in people. Another nice thing about fishing in the winter is that you don't have to worry about your catch spoiling. You can just leave it on the ice until you're ready to cook it or head home. And bonus, no mosquitoes or flies to bug you. But even better than that, ice fishing is super fun for kids as they can fish and then go play in the snow just steps away. So step outside your comfort zone, venture out into the cold, and learn a new sport. You may just be surprised how hot ice fishing is in our Utopia.